when I finished secondary school, then I deliberately had a year break before going to photography college, and I went out to India to see my brother, who was in an ashram there. And I thought I would spend some time with him, but when I turned up at Delhi airport, he said to me, my visa's running out. I've only got 2 weeks. So there's one place I think you should see, one place I'd like to go. He didn't mention that actually he had a girlfriend up there, which I think was more of the reason why we went up there. But we went up to the Himalayan foothills to a place called McLeod Ganj, or next to, very close to a place called Dharamsala. And in Dharamsala, that was and remains the home of the Dalai Lama of Tibet and Tibetans in exile. I have to be honest, I'd not heard of the Dalai Lama of Tibet. And I very quickly became absolutely fascinated by this story. And I realized that I didn't feel I could tell the story with my camera, which I had with me, but I wanted to make a film about it. And this was the moment when I changed to wanting to become a filmmaker. What I've been good at is following ideas through. And I went to film college, and while I was at film college, I made that film. I rather neglected the studies a little bit of the college itself, and I focused on making my film about the Dalai Lama of Tibet. I went back to India to film. I ended up being the Dalai Lama's filmmaker accompaniment when he came to Britain and Scotland, and I traveled around, and the deal was I filmed footage for them and they gave me access and let me interview him, and then facilitated everything back in India and Nepal. And I made a film which was a biography of his life, decently made, and that sold to television. And then another television channel asked me to make a film, and I had to have a production company to sign the contract, and therefore that was the birth essentially of Seventh Art Productions. And I was passionate from the beginning. And I'm no smarter than the average guy, but I do have a capacity to work, and I'm ultimately endlessly curious. So I just ask lots of questions. And I absolutely love one aspect in particular that I love of what I do is that for 2, 3 years, you can just focus on learning as much as you possibly can about one subject, and then you can change. So 1 minute it might be about Raffles and the discovery of Borobudur in Java. The next it could be Muhammad Ali. The next it could be Leonardo. The next it could be Afghanistan. The next it could be Hopper. It's an enormous amount of work, but I absolutely love it. So the passion has been there from the start. And I have to say, I've ended up doing, dozens and dozens of biographies. And the one thing that unites all those great artists and occasionally great sportsmen, great composers, they're not in search of fame and fortune. They are just passionate. And it's a bit of an overused word, but they are genuinely passionate to be as good as they can be, to explore their chosen creative métier. And if they're seeking one thing, it's to be respected by those that they respect. But really, it's just trying to constantly get better. And I've made, as I said before, 250 plus films, but I always feel I can do it better. And that's part of the motivation for starting a new film.